And truly, Matiang'i is busy because right now he's appearing before the Senate Ad-Hoc Committee. Of course, this is in regard to the Solai tragedy. We just want to cross over there just to get a snippet of what is happening right now. And then we'll go back with to our discussion with our panelists here. Let's just listen into what is happening right now with the Solai tragedy with the Senate Ad-Hoc Committee.
Even our own officials, it would actually be pulled out from that particular investigation as it were. Now, the situation is, and I will not walk away from responsibility, Mr. Chairman. If, for example, we actually got information that our officials were involved or did what they were not supposed to do, there's very clear procedure for taking action and for disciplining people. What I am saying is, as at now, I don't have that information. I could actually myself, on my own motion, commence investigation, particularly targeted at the officials who are involved, if I have sufficient information to suspect that there is, criminal conduct or there is unethical conduct, as it were. When the CAS came before you, Mr. Chairman, quite frankly, we did not get the impression that he was asked to come back to us and tell us that you have information that our national government administration officials have misbehaved. Now we know. What I suggest we do on this particular matter is that I will look at this again, because my peers is here with me. I actually asked the regional commissioner for Rift Valley, Mr. Jimwaga, to give us a report on everything around Solai. The assumption is that any officials who are involved in this are the people who report to Mr. Jimwaga, as it were, and he would give us the information and tell us this is what has happened and so on and so forth. I have the report from the regional commissioner, which I'm going to table before you when we have the in-camera proceeding, because there are certain issues I would also like to raise in the context of that, which I don't want to talk about in open committee. But Mr. Chairman, when I'm saying truthfully that I am not aware of this, it's truly I am not aware. I could seek the information, and if it is the opinion of the committee that I seek information on the conduct of some of my national government administration officials, I will do so. As a responsible public servant, I will do so and find out what exactly happened, because that's what I'm expected to do by law. On the issue of...
just wait. Senator Sakaja has said that the owner of the dam was seated where you are seated, and he confirmed that 35 million shillings was paid out as consolation with forms prepared by lawyers who is aware of and distributed by your officers. Now, I would like the CS to take the mic, because he was before us. And please confirm whether we instructed, or you, to, whether it's instruction or directed, you to check, and whether you undertook to check and report to us. Because what the Cabinet Secretary is saying is not what is on record. We requested you, and you confirmed that you would check. Now, other than the information that we have already given you, other than the information that we have received on record, which other method then would you receive information? Could you please confirm, because we want it to be on record.
Sure, Chair. You remember when I appeared with this committee the second time, you didn't give me time to explain myself.
The first time. It was the first time.
That's what I'm saying. The first time you asked me to go find out what exactly happened. And
did you undertake to do it in person? And did you inform your Cabinet Secretary? We are very concerned, and I will explain the reason why we are very concerned about this. Everybody saying, I don't know.
You know, Chairman, you remember that time when I appeared before the committee? When I came the second time, that's when you told me that the Cabinet Secretary must come. And that is why he's here today. And what exactly he's telling you is what I was going to tell you that day that you didn't give me to talk about.
But, Waziri, you are saying you are not aware, but we requested him to investigate. And I'm going to get to the reason why we are going to investigate when I get to my questioning. But just like Senator Sakaja said, it's very curious that this matter has not been addressed. Yet it is the owner, the person who gave her 35 million has confirmed that he gave it through your officers. We don't know what sort of information outside all those parameters. And because we call ourselves honorable for a good reason, we cannot deliberately mislead your office.
Mr. Chairman.
Did you have something to say on that? And I would like to complete this subject so that we...
Members of the public to always comment about things that have not been done and things that we do not do. No one looks at the things that have been done. No one looks at the efforts that government has made and put into improving the way in which we handle disaster. When we had floods this year, we were much better organized and we did a lot better than we've ever done before because of the efforts that have been made. For a country of our size, Mr. Chairman, we all need to understand one thing. We've come a long way. We are not there yet, but we are on the right track. We are coalescing the resources that we need in creating multi-agency teams with KDF, with the Kenya Police and everyone else getting involved in this. We are doing better. Let us, for every challenge that we've had, and I'm not denying that we've had cases where we probably would have done better. For every one of those, figure out those that we have done a lot better and the lives that have been saved as a result of the good work that has happened, especially by our security forces. Rather than beat ourselves too hard and say, you know, we have failed all through, we should look at the lessons that we have drawn from this, including from Solai, and start building on them. And I'm happy that Senate is seized of this, and we're working together, and I can promise you full cooperation from our ministry to ensure that the bill is not only enacted, but we have a very strong, solid National Disaster Management Authority to save us some of these challenges of organization that we have had in the past.
Senator Kasanga, and then Senator... yeah, but I understand. And I want to give an opportunity to Senator Kasanga and Senator Fatuma Dulo, and then I can come round, because we are trying to save time. Waziri.
Thank you, Chair. Bwana CS, thank you very much. And I have to say that we've been through quite a journey as a committee, and we do appreciate, of course, the work of disaster management that was done. And I think the last time the CS was here, whether he wanted to admit it or not, we did say that in the case of Solai, it was not a natural disaster. A lot could have been averted if things were done right. So I think the focus for us here in this committee has to do with the people who are affected and the people who died and the orphans who've been left behind who are not adequately addressed. And I think in the letter that was written to you last, there was a question of to propose modalities of compensation as one of the areas which we wanted you to address. But that aside, your first report, the CS did bring us his first report. It did adopt an interagency preliminary report. And in the way forward, there was a proposal that a further investigation would be done. So I don't know, out of prudence, if you've established if there's a further investigation that has been done, but maybe just to save you on that, we do have a report that did come, a multi-agency report, a very detailed one, a good one, that was done between NEMA and the National Construction Authority. I don't know if you're aware. I don't know if you've seen it. Together with also the water, the NWCPC, they did present a further report, an audit that was done that has potential far-reaching consequences. So I don't know if you're aware, Bwana CS, about this. And I hope you appreciate why we wanted you in person here. Because given the gravity of this situation in Solai, we also want to make a change in the country. Things have been done, so casually over the period over years. We want to change that, Bwana CS. And why we wanted you here personally is because there are backstops with you in the end. And the concerns they're raising here is because when you hear it yourself, then you're going to do something about it. And the 30 days you're talking about cannot work. It cannot work because now cogs are turning, the wheels are turning. Several agencies have already done so much from us pushing them. So 30 days just cannot work. And the worst thing is that we actually have orphans sitting somewhere. Nobody has decided or said to us, how are these orphans going to be taken care of in future? So Bwana CS, this is the angle we are taking, and this is why we are literally looking at you now, and we are happy that you came, and we wanted to speak to you in person, so that at least we can have now clarity and direction, and also act fast, because there's no time. Thank you.
Dulo.
Thank you, Chair. And sorry for coming late, because I've just come back from the county. I was there over the weekend. Now, just to contribute to the discussion, although I know I didn't get the part of the presentation, I just wanted to make one observation, CS. First, I'm Fatuma Dulo, Senator Isiolo, and a member of this committee. For the record, why do you want me to say deputy? Now, just from the observation of Solai, CS, and first and foremost, thank you very much for your effort and the team, especially in terms of intervention. You are on top of things, and I know I've interacted with your officers very well. But my disappointing point from Solai and the rest of the areas that I actually man in terms of my position. For your information, I've been in provincial administration for a very long time. But what happened in Solai, it's really embarrassing to the government. Because when I was in provincial administration in terms of national government are the ones on top of things. They are the representative of the government on the ground. And I'm seeing there's a bit of laxity in that, in the sense that when we went on the ground, it's like they are, you know, they don't know how they have positioned themselves. There were 3 lists that were prepared. One from Red Cross, another one from provincial administration, another one from Patel himself. My question is, provincial administration is the representative of the government, and they are the ones to consolidate and make sure that the citizens are protected, and there is one list. We have representative of government up to grassroots level, which is assistant chief. I know you are doing a good job, and it's not only Solai, Buenos Aires. In Isiolo we had education day, county education day. In that meeting, in as much as our county commissioner is doing a lot of work, none of the chiefs attended that meeting. And education is an important docket, is an important policy of the government, where those chiefs are the ones who should make sure that the policy of government in terms of education is being driven and it's being sent to the people. So I am requesting you, Buenos Aires, kindly crack your whips. Let the chiefs and assistant chiefs and the provincial administration on the ground support you guys and support the government in terms of policy making. Secondly, now that I'm able to talk to you, I live in Lavington. There is a big problem. There is a guy who is, we are being told, is highly connected. I don't know how highly connected he is. He is running a restaurant called Mamadou. That is a restaurant which is a bar and a restaurant. It is a church on Sunday. We've reported to county government. We have reported to the police in Mudangari. No action is being taken. We can't rest over the weekend. We can't rest on Friday. We are unable to sleep. Some people, they have small kids. Kindly, there is insecurity because the gate of that restaurant and my gate is next to each other. You will find that over the weekend there are thousands and thousands of vehicles. There is insecurity there. We'll write to you as a resident.
Point of order, Chair. Just allow me this. The CS had said that he doesn't have a lot of time.
No.
And we have a lot of issues
with all due respect,
that have not been
Senator,
responded to in terms of the Solai tragedy.
No.
And I think, Chair, I would want you to give directions, because I would want to focus on the issues of Solai. There are serious questions that have been answered, and we don't want them to be diluted.
No,
I'm okay with my colleague.
Senator Olekina is out of order because I'm on the floor.
Order.
No, he can't interrupt my discussion. I haven't interrupted
please,
him.
Senator Dulo.
No, it's not possible, Chair.
What are you saying no to? I haven't said anything. Wait.
But why is he interrupting me and I'm the one on the floor?
I know. Please, members. Members.
No, I can't allow that. So, Bonasies, I'm reporting to you. The residents are going to report to you. Please, there is insecurity in that area. Kindly assist us. Thank you.
Members, we came in early so that we could get this matter addressed. I would hate us to proceed in that manner. Tafadhali.
Yeah, just a quick clarification.
Please.
I just want a quick clarification.
Yeah, but remember, Senator Sakaja, that there are a lot of questions that have not been addressed.
No, you can't interrupt me. You
Yeah.
don't do respect. I was on the phone.
When Chair.
Dulo, you're out of order, please.
No, I am not.
You're still talking and I'm talking. I'm the chair. Please,
Chair,
please.
Just to make it clear,
Calm down. I
to the CS,
water, yes.
as we just get back to the issue, when we talk about the matter of complicity and officers of government, representatives, the county commissioner is a representative of the president at the county. When we hear reports and when we go and investigate and we are told that they are walking around with Patel's money, forcing residents to sign, to indemnify themselves, 35 million, it is really a serious issue. We are shocked. And just to make it clear, it's not that we're against government officials. In fact, we're also investigating MPs. Because the accusation is on government officials, it's on members of parliament, it's on members of county assembly, leadership around, even the clergy, who have been complicit, going around with 35 million of Patel, dishing out according to him. Then you ask yourself, okay, if those 35, how much is he actually giving the wananchi? So trust issues arise. And when people on the ground lose confidence and trust on national government officials, I think that's something that we should all be concerned about, because then it gives a credibility issue even on other matters after the fact.
I want Rosary to finish because we have kept him here for long. Senator Malakai, there's something you have brought to my attention, and I want, it's a minute each, please, so that I can also wind up.
Yes, Chair. Thank you. What I raised about, and also Senator Kasanga raised about the orphans of Solai and what the government intends to do with these orphans. Being Kenyans, being Kenyan children, the government should do something to help these kids out.
Thank you.
And two, on a traditional point of view, burials that were carried out in Solai. Kenyan or African traditions say when someone dies, they should be taken home, their rites be performed, and those people buried, their souls rest in peace. Who are these people? Where were they buried? Is there some plan to transport them to their respective homes so they can be buried peacefully? Thank you.
That is clarified that there are reports that several people buried in Patel's farm who had no relatives. That's the question Senator is asking. Yes, Olakina, a minute. Thank you.
Chair, I want to state that even I could be raising issues of the Mau forest here, but I think this platform is very clear on the issue of Solai. Bonasies, I want to take you back to your issues on your report, and I want us to be very, very specific on this matter. I had asked a question earlier on which you did not answer. Now, I want to take you specifically to what you've presented us here. In your response to our questions, you indicated that the government paid out 50,000 to 46 families and 50,000 to 7 families. Was that your statement? Yes, the question is very clear. I want to know whether the money that the national government gave is different from the money which was dispersed through Red Cross to the families. Because any information we present here has got to be factual, Ms. Bonasies. Because based on what I can see here, it is very clear. It says that 149 people were given 30,000 shillings, 65 people were given 50,000 shillings, and 9 people were given 100,000. So if you could respond to that specifically, it would be very, very important for this committee. The other issue, Mr. Chair, is that I know this issue of the chief is something very, very important, and the issue of the county commissioner. In the last sitting in this house, where we had the CAS, Chair, you gave directives on what should be done in terms of what was reported by this committee to your ministry or through your CS, that a few individuals were found complicit And there are specific directives that you gave. So I'd like you to give directives on that, because I know the CS is requesting for 30 days, which I think is completely out of time, because the reason why Mr. Matiang'i were focusing on this matter is because we're here for the interest of the people of Solai. The question that I'd ask is whether or not the scene was preserved. Thank you.
Thank you, CS. So that you can answer all of them comprehensively, I'll give you the dates in a few. This event, where your officers, national government officials, paid out 35 million, is 28th of June, 2018. Just make a note somewhere. That event has been confirmed by Mr. Perry Mansukh, number 1. We have statements from witnesses, number 2, 3. In fact, there are some people who have, in fact, gone to court to say they were put under duress. The matter is in Naivasha. Number 4, the Director of Public Prosecutions was here. He's about to charge one of those officials. So it's 7 days, 30 days is too long for purposes of this issue. And for our recommendations and restoration of Solai, and for the security of the poor residents of people who have lost their relatives. These people are so powerful. I wish you would read, and I would like your team to look for the report done by the Kenya Human Rights Commission on the questions of, just forget about the security, mistreatment of laborers. It has details. Mr. Perry Mansukh is a god in Solai. And you must deal with this fellow, because if you don't, then we have a crisis. In the same report we have received, Bonaziri, and this is a comment so that as you to understand the gravity. There were reports to your officers that Solai Dam was leaking. It's called Milmet Dam, before the tragedy. To your officers. So if action had been taken, we would have prevented the loss of 48 lives. So this matter is so serious, it's so grievous, that we would like you to give us a solution as quickly as possible, because if the order is please restore Solai using provincial administration and your ministry through the authority which will be implemented by them, then you realize that we are compromised. And before Red Cross, who have confirmed they have received $1 billion shillings from government to resettle or rebuild Solai, this issue ought to be addressed in totality. They confirmed to us. Maybe you can say something to what, and the part of the questions that have been addressed by them. Yes, proceed.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, once again, thank you to you and thank you to the Honorable Senators for the issues that have been raised. Let me say this as a side, so that it also, if it can bring to the fore, the reason why I am very careful about everything I do and everything I say. I've been in government for nearly 6 years. But I have been sued in the Ministry of Interior. I have been sued more than I've ever been sued in all the other ministries I've been. Which means everything I do, my PS here, PS Kibicho, has got so many cases in court. We are sued all the time. And one thing we have learned over the recent few months when I've been at Interior is that for everything I do, I have to check, and check again. And now I have to run everything through the Office of the Attorney General. That's why I'm very careful about the commitments I make. Because, you know, you can make commitments when you don't have all the facts. Genuinely, in good faith, you make commitments, and then later on they turn out to be serious problems. You find yourself in court. There are several reports that have been done on this Solai matter. And quite frankly, there is no tragedy in my memory, in my recent memory. There's no tragedy or calamity in the country that has been as investigated as this Solai issue. And so many dimensions of this have been investigated around. All I'm just saying is we will collect our reports, including the ones that you have referred to, liaise with the other organs of government, And I would like to say this, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, please let us act in consonance. Because on one hand, we are saying that government has been acting in a disjointed manner. And on the other hand, we are here, and I'm going to make commitment, or I'm supposed to make commitment, when it's only me who's here, the other agencies of government are not here. A good effort has been begun by Mr. Kinyo, the head of public service, on this Solai matter, putting all of us together and putting all government agencies together so that we act, in consonance and consistently on this matter. The one aspect I know that I am supposed to investigate and come back to you is the involvement of national government administration officials and their role in this whole matter and what they did. Whether there was failure on their part and so on, whether there was complicity, whether there was dereliction of duty and so on and so forth. As at now, as I sit before you, I think I would be a responsible public servant not to pass judgment and not also to defend something that I have not looked at all around. And I am undertaking to you that I'll look at all these dimensions and I'll come back to you on this matter. And you know, Mr. Chairman, we've been together several times before. We've worked with this parliament. You know, I've worked with you personally in other departments, in other departmental committees. We will go the direction the report will. Where we are supposed to act, I promise you, we will act without fear or favor, in the best interest of the people of Kenya, as expected, as it were. Suffice it to say, you know, honorable senators, we too are public officials, and we are expected to act in the best interest of the country. Sometimes, I can agree, I can admit here, sometimes you don't get all the information you need at the time that you need all that information for you to be able to make a comprehensive and sensible decision. And now that we have information, I think we have information that can lead us in a particular direction. I will need to seek individual statements from these officials. I'd like them to be, interrogated by their seniors. I will put together a small team that will look into this matter so that we do justice to this issue. And I promise you, we will do the right thing on this matter. And now, because it's a responsibility I don't want to walk away from, as the ministry in charge of coordination of national government, I will also sit down with all the other actors involved in this, so that when we come before you next time, when we are addressing Senate on this matter, we are not saying we have not talked to John, we have not talked to Mary. We need to act in consonance and give you information. And I promise you, this is a matter on which we are equally seized, and we should get to the bottom of the issue. I will take from the Hansard the statement of Mr. Patel. I will take the statements that have been made by others who have appeared before you from the Hansard and look at what has been said there. And together with the team that we have here, together with the help of the Honorable Attorney General, we'll look at this and come up with a set of actions on this matter as we go forward. So that's why I am pleading with you, Mr. Chairman, as responsible public servants. This is a matter that I promise you full cooperation from the Ministry of Interior to ensure that we resolve this matter, not just for the sake of this, but for the sake of posterity as we go forward. And as Senator Kasanga said, we are looking at not now, but we're also looking into the future. The second issue of the barriers that were done. You see, Mr. Chairman, if I had actually been asked that, I would have, as I said earlier, the first statement I made when I arrived here is that I needed to have an annotated list. An annotated list will have all the columns. Who died? What family did they come from? What sublocation did they come from? Where were they buried? Who made the decision on their burial? And so on and so forth. I don't have that information because the time that I was given to come here and my appearance this morning could not enable me to come with that annotated list. What we need to do is we need to ask the multi-agency team that sat down and made decisions, because the assumption that we have, and I'm using words advisedly, the assumption that we have is that before decisions on burial were made, members of various families were consulted. Now, if it turns out that members, some people are buried without members of their families being consulted, then of course we have to do the responsible thing as public officials, and then go to their families and ask them what they want and support them to bury their dead where they would like to bury their dead. But you see, sometimes, and also, even when we talk about these things from where I'm sitting, we need also to put ourselves in the shoes of those good people who are seated there in the multi-sector team who are taking decisions. They'll ask people. Some people come to the fore and say, we are members of that family. We are the ones who are going to make a decision on where they are going to be buried. They say, don't worry, bury them here. Then later on, another member of the family raises an issue. It's in the normal order of things. We will not walk away from our responsibility. Those are the people we govern. Those are the people God has given us to lead, and we will do the responsible thing. If there are issues that are being raised about that, we go back on to them. Governance is usually not a walk in the park. It's sometimes a messy affair, and we are willing to walk through that mess, whatever challenges there may be, so that we solve this matter once and for all. Let me address the question of what was paid. I need to emphasize this, Mr. Chairman. Government does not actually compensate people. We do this everywhere. This year we spend so much money alleviating the pain of our people. You know, the flood victims. We supply food through our colleagues in the Ministry of Devolution. There are people who face all manner of natural calamities and so on. The budget we have is not for compensation. It is for alleviating the pain of those people. And what we give is not related to what the Red Cross, is giving at that point in time. And the figures that we are provided is money that we gave out. And by the way, because of the accountability, Mr. Chairman, the officials, our national government administration officials who are supposed to disperse this money, are supposed to file reports back and say, for example, the victims who were buried in a mine in Migori, the president directed we help their families to bury their dead, so we gave them money. It's expected that our county commissioners, our regional commissioners and the others would actually not only hand out the money, but they will also bring back a report to us on who received the money and what it was meant for. It was meant for coffin and burial expenses, not compensation, because compensation is a totally different ball game altogether. And these reports are there, and even if they appear now, they will come up again at the Public Accounts Committee, because you know we are using public resources in doing this, and there is nothing for us to hide. If, and I want to say this as a responsible public servant, if there is any loss or any challenge that has arisen as a result of this, again I undertake here, boldly, it's something that we'll go into and find out exactly what went wrong and where money was supposed to have been paid and it was not paid, or where money was paid in excess of what was expected. The question of 1 billion shillings to the Red Cross, it is not true, Mr. Chairman, that the Red Cross was given 1 billion shillings to settle Solai victims.
For the whole country?
It's for the whole country, and it was actually as a result of the disaster management, as a result of the flooding in the country and so on. And this is money. And the reason why, because this question has been asked several times, why did we do a Passover, or why did we actually avail money to Red Cross? Mr. Chairman, we are all trying to look for ways of reducing our costs in terms of moving resources around. We are looking for a way of being better coordinated and better managed in the way we do this, and we coalesce all efforts, whether it is the KDF, police, ourselves, devolution, we work together. In any case, this is what we are seeking in terms of the National Disaster Management Policy, that we act together, we act in consonance, because the situation that Senator Sakaja describes is a very unseemly one, where you spend so much time arguing on who is going to do what instead of saving the lives of our people. This is what we are working to do. I undertake that I will talk to Cabinet Office. Mr. Chairman, the way government works is that when a policy paper has been discussed by Cabinet and adopted by Cabinet, it becomes Cabinet Office's responsibility to now engage with the others in terms of sharing that information. It is not a ministerial responsibility. But I'll communicate with my colleagues in Cabinet Office to ensure that the team in Senate gets that policy that was approved by Cabinet, so that you can factor it in your discussion as you go along. Lastly, I think, as I said, Mr. Chairman, again, we're grateful for the opportunity that we have to discuss with you. If there are issues that...
Point of order, Chair. I ask a specific question, and Mr. Matiang'i kindly respond to my question. I said I referred you to your report, and please don't give us too much detail. Just go specific to the question that we're asking. I'd ask you a very simple question for you to clarify whether the money paid in terms of food was equal, 50,000 for everyone, and what does it have to do with 30-50? Is it different? And then lastly, specifically, on the issue of the crime scene. Was the crime scene preserved? Simple as that.
Mr. Chairman, I have actually clarified the question. I said, and you can bear me out, members of the committee, I said that the 50 was paid to everyone. It has no relationship with the money that was paid by Red Cross. Then, secondly, I said clearly about the question of the scene, whether the scene was preserved or not. Mr. Chairman, I said I am not aware. I will need to actually ask that question of the investigators, because you see, when the DPP ordered investigation, logically the other arms of government, to give way and respect the directives of the DPP, we hold anything else we are doing until we are guided by what the DPP was doing, what the DCI was doing on behalf of the DPP. But I will check with the DCI and find out what exactly they found out at that particular time. But suffice it to say also, by the way, in all fairness and in all sincerity, as at the time that it happened, it is not possible. Maybe, I mean, let me not be too speculative, but maybe on day 1 and day 2, the multi-sector team that was working in Solai did not construe that to be a crime scene, as it were. But let me not put the cart before the horse. Let me look at what the DCI has said in his report, which I have not had an opportunity to look at, and which he was putting together in response to the directive by the DPP. But, and if you may indulge me, Mr. Chairman, because again, you know, as a responsible public servant, Senator Fatuma Dulo has asked something about Lavington. We've taken the notes. I will work with the regional security team in Nairobi to look into that issue, and then I'll come back to you. Thank you.
Members, because of time, into your list, maybe members forgot to mention, in your list of things to do, other than meeting the other multi-sector agencies, the Director of Public Prosecutions is working on many other aspects which would amount to obstruction of justice. But there's one particular one that has bothered us, and it's something to do with the disaster response, the handling of the relief. Both the report by the Kenya Human Rights Commission and the reports we received when we were on site is that there was mismanagement and misappropriation of the items that government and other state actors and non-state actors delivered to Solai for purposes of the victims. So we were, in your brief, maybe you can check, just like you require of your administration to provide returns in terms of checks. Do they maintain an inventory of the famine relief? Because we were told some Mabatis, so there was a complaint that some Mabatis had been misappropriated, some were returned, others were not returned. All these things are post-disaster management, which this committee is also going to address. What do you do? Because we went to site, and trust me, Waziri, we are very unhappy that after the TVs and everybody left, Solai victims were left hanging. There was a report on KBC TV that even a slightest sound of anything loud in Solai makes people very uncomfortable. It's a very bad situation. And you don't see your NDMA or any disaster response, post-disaster management is very bad in Solai. So those are the issues that we would like you to address so that we can have a comprehensive report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll address that. But I still have to say this to you, honorable members. You know, there are many things that have been done right, and I don't think that everything that has been done, including on Solai and so on, has gone wrong. Where there are gaps or where there are mistakes that could have been committed, they will be pointed out and they will be redressed, as it were. It's a requirement of our procedures in government and accountability, a requirement of government to document things and ensure that we have accurate records. Where they do not exist, those who are responsible are called to account, as it were. And you know, ultimately, we use public resources, and we're required by law to account for the resources that we use. But I will still urge, what I am personally very encouraged about, the involvement of Senate in this matter, is the proactivity in working on with the executive branch of government on a law, on a policy, and moving forward. We are on the journey towards addressing these issues. We have a lot to do, and it's important that we keep working on this and trying to do it together. But otherwise, I cannot come here and pretend that everything is 100% perfect and so on. We are better off than we were yesterday, but we want to be better off tomorrow than we are today, and that is the attitude that we are adopting on this particular matter. So that even as we do it, Mr. Chairman, it's important, please, to factor that in mind. Thank you very much.
Sakaja, you had mentioned the policy. Maybe that's something you can follow up.
That is what the CS has said.
Mr. Kibisho on the policy.
He said through Cabinet Office, because they're the ones who are responsible. Once a policy has been passed by Cabinet, they're the ones who should be responsible for doing that.
Yes.
We will be very glad and keen to sit here with your officers to look through the draft you have, to see how we can harmonize it, so that we don't waste taxpayers' time and money for starting again another process of a new bill. I think we can be able to build onto it, and we appreciate the comments that came from the ministry to the current bill that we're discussing.
I take before the committee that you'll get the policy before Friday this week.
Thank Thank you. Then finally, Chair. Finally,
I'm to a siasa.
No. Chair, on the issue of the officers, I know it is not in our place as the Senate or as a committee, even before we do our report, to direct any action. But Waziri, if you look around this room and you look at the faces of the people in this room, first of all, we are less than the number of people who died in Solai. So just imagine all of us wiped out. And then move forward, and the kind of allegation you're getting from the Senate, from the people on the ground, on what the officers are doing. I think people have been asked to step aside for much less in this country, even within your ministry. We know DCCs, county commissioners, on much less, have been told, just wait, let's look into this issue. If you're cleared, you'll come back. I want to tell you that no government action on the ground will have the confidence of the victims or of the people of Solai if it is being executed by those officers. So even as we wait for the 30 days, because we feel even if they are still in office, it might compromise the investigation you're asking for. Even as we wait for those 30 days, administratively, I think you have enough people to fill in those shoes as you get the truth. Because I know you, and I know you're a diligent man who wants to find the real truth. It will be compromised by the presence of those officers.
Senator Malaka has 1 minute.
Yes.
You have 1 minute and 1 minute. Those are exactly 3 minutes to release the CS.
Thank you, Chair. CS, you said that things you have been accused. There are many people in court and so on. I just want to remind you that whenever you see people taking you to court, it means something is not right in your ministry, and it's a chance for you to iron out, look at some of these things positively, and say, what is it I can do to make sure that I don't get people taking me to court? So you iron out what these problems are, and you make the government a better government, at least by the stone you put in place to make sure that things are going on fine. You have an entire ministry with PSs and directors and so on and so on. If you just order all these people to look at their sections and see that everything is going on right, then you cannot be going to court. Now, we found that a lot of your officers are really asleep on the job, because had it not been for the fact this would not have happened, this tragedy would not have happened, it's because they slept on their job, and we are coming hard on them and recommending that they leave their jobs so that youngsters who are intelligent than them can take those jobs. And secondly, yes, time.
Red light.
I'm still taking you to court on the issue of Isiolo. Lots of killings were carried out in Isiolo, and Honorable Dulo, I didn't mention this because this is a Solai matter. So we'll come to this later. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, will take up most of those other issues in my committee. The security committee
yes,
still exists. This is ad-hoc on Solai only.
Yes, please.
Those other issues.
Please don't mention Mau here. Senator Ledama.
Chair, I'll time myself in 1 minute. Bonasius, I just want to reiterate on what Senator Sakaja said. The reason why some of us came into this house is not because of our own, or for us to line our own pocket. We came here because of the interests of the Kenyans. So when you see us asking questions here, we're doing so. We are speaking on behalf of the 48 dead who cannot speak. We are speaking for posterity of this nation. We want things to change in this country, number one. Number two, Bonasius, I would like to request you that whenever we request you to come here, please don't try to circumvent that. Don't try to go around that. Just come here. We are here. Make the time. Because those people who are dead and who are gone and the victims of Solai would appreciate what you're doing in terms of you appearing before this committee. Finally, because my minute is over, finally, I'm happy to note that you stated that apart from the 30, 50, and 100,000 shillings given to the people of Solai through Red Cross, which is the report that your CS had provided, the government gave them an additional 50,000. So you would want to clarify that, because I think it's on record on what you said. Otherwise, I thank you.
Kasanga, 1 minute.
Just to thank you, Bonasius. there's no doubt the good work that you're doing. We appreciate it. I know deep down, had you come the first day we had requested you to come, I'm sure by now would have had a task force. I'm sure by now would have seen some, wheels turning in your ministry. But I thank you, and I want to remind you to always remember there are 52 orphans out there with nobody to speak for. Thank you.
I'll take less than a minute. The president made a very telling comment about when his brother was mentioned, and he said everybody must face the law. And I think that's the cue for all of us. We as a committee, we have dedicated ourselves to make sure that the 48 people don't just disappear into oblivion as statistics of this republic. There must be action. And therefore, as Senator Sakaja has pointed out, we have not made very empty comments. There are very, very serious and grave issues, both before Solai and after. The after, for us, is much worse. And we said that when you take money from somebody, it's almost equivalent to blood money. It pains us that somebody would try and do something to try and kill the pain of people who lost their lives when they shouldn't have, or when they were just asleep and enjoying themselves. It's something that we want to see you in your usual style. Your usual style. We want to see you bulldoze action out there in less than 30 days, because we know you're capable of doing it, so that the people of Solai can think that they're in Kenya, because they think there's somebody who lives above them, who is God and who is Kenya. And that is not the case. Thank you.
Thanks. My final comment, Mr. Chairman, is that, first of all, I'm very grateful to you personally, and I'm grateful to the members of the committee, the honorable senators. We've interacted very successfully and effectively. And as I said again, I think it's important to put this on record. Mr. Chairman, honorable members, it's always our desire to interact with the legislative arm of government. It's just that, truth be told, we go through hell in terms of scheduling and the things that we have to do. And every so often, you find yourself in the situation such as I do right now. Wake up in the morning, the day we were supposed to be here the first time, we have a big problem between the border of Garissa and Isiolo, and the leaders of Isiolo and Garissa, including some of your colleagues, senators from both sides, had convened a meeting, and they too were saying the CS must be here personally, so that he answers the questions here personally with the Inspector General of Police. And so and you are required in the Senate also personally, as it were. So sometimes it becomes a little bit difficult. There's no way, there's only one way you can avoid going to Parliament or going before the Senate. Leave Cabinet. Then you will not. Then you'll not go to Senate. And so as long as you're in Cabinet, the law is very clear, Section 153 of our Constitution, that we are oversighted by Parliament and we have to come to you, as it were. And then we have no problem at all coming forward to you. Lastly, I promise you, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, we will investigate the issues that have been raised here. And I underline this word, as responsible public officials, we will do what the law requires us to do. And once we are done with these investigations, I promise you, Mr. Chairman, with focus and firmness, we will go the direction investigations will take us. Where clearly crimes have been committed and where people have behaved in a manner they are not supposed to behave, we will act. And then we will be fairly ruthless on it and ensure that the right thing is done for our people. And for the rest of our collaboration, I assure you once again, you will have full collaboration of the ministry in this matter as we move forward, so that we serve our country better and so that we improve the way in which we deliver services to our people. But thank you so much for indulging us, and thank you for the opportunity.
Chair, the words of Shakespeare in a play called King Henry IV says that uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. So it comes with the territory. Pole, but that is how your head wears the crown. So that is, it lie uneasy.
Again, I know I will not allow any further comments.
No, don't.
Please, thank you. Waziri, since you're leaving, you have another meeting. The other one you want to have in camera can't be held now. We are respecting your time, and we don't want to keep the rest of the Kenyans waiting. So will you give us a convenient date to discuss that issue? But even then, would like to discuss that issue in camera when you have information, because you don't have information.
Well, I'll liaise with you.
Yes.
I mean, if you indulge me,
Yes.
I'll liaise with you in terms of scheduling a time
Yes.
when we can have our own meeting. I'd like to meet the committee
Yes.
and table the report and share the information I have, in camera, and then we'll go forward. But again, I undertake that I'll bring the investigation report to you.
Yes. So we suggest we have that meeting once you have the information, and we will tell you what we saw for ourselves. Thank you. Members, if you could wait for a few minutes, there's something I want us to address. We wish you a good day with the regional commissioners. Thank you.